you know?
How long did it take you into your career before you felt like, oh, I'm starting to at least get the hang of this or start to sound like I want to sound?
It took a while. It was like there was like a few jokes. You're like, oh, that's like who I kind of am. You know,
Okay.
so there's a few of those jokes that were like what I liked and what I wanted to sound like. And it's like, it definitely takes you a while to catch up to your taste in comedy. You're like, well, you're just doing like some weird impression of what you want to sound like. You're not you yet, you know, so it takes you a while to really, from a distance, like your act. Maybe like you're close enough to not, but you have to have some sort of delusion to stay in it that young early, you know, anyway. So you probably have similar delusion about your act, that you're not as bad as you think you are.
Yeah.
So that it keeps you in on a lot of levels. But yeah, it took me a while to be happy with it.
You said like 8-10 years? Like,
I'd say like 7 or 8. I remember I was down here and I won the festival down here. And
the Skull Fest.
And that's when I started to think that I had like a couple that I'm like, oh, I'm getting somewhere. It wasn't like, oh wow, my jokes are great. It was like, oh, I have a few that I think I'm on the right track. I remember even when I won it, I thought this guy Tom Simmons had a better set than me.
No,
so that's a weird feeling when you're like, well, I won, but and I know you don't usually feel that way because you get everything later than you think you deserve it. That's just how it goes in comedy. Like, so few comics, and the comics that pop off early usually stink, you know, because this is something that does take a long time to get good at. This is not. There's a couple exceptions, but it's something that does take so long that when you get it too early, it's usually a fluke. It's usually not because you put out a great special. It's because you got something else, like you won some TV show, and that's why you got it. So when you do actually, I don't think I did my first late night set till like 8.5 years in or something. So
was that Conan?
Yeah.
Was that your first? And then since you've done Colbert and Conan multiple times.
Yeah.
Any others? Is that?
I've done Conan, I think 4 times, and Colbert once.
Hot breath.